Well, that makes me feel bad because I have punched through a screen a few times.
You've done it a few times.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it.
Squeegee Ink Podcast Season 2. This podcast is sponsored by Blind Maggot, Magna Colours, M&R, Target Transfers, and Adobe Creative Suite.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Annettte, and this is...
I'm Giovanna, but people call me Gio.
And we are the co-owners of Up All Night Ink, a screen printing company down in Southern California.
Yeah. So, but you do loads of different stuff as well, don't you? Like, I think you're kind of getting into educational areas, and you've done some collabs.
Yeah, we're definitely all over the place in a good way.
Can you tell me about the educational post that you put out? Is it just a teaser at the moment, or are you building content?
So right now it is a little bit of a teaser. We're trying to just kind of see engagement wise, because we've had a lot of people hitting us up, for consulting, even though that wasn't really like a service that we offer. Because I mean, I'm sure if you're in the Discords or the Facebook groups, everybody's very helpful. And so it just seemed like, with us just helping and people messaging us when they'd see us doing stuff, that a lot of people are like, man, like how much to come down to my shop, and just kind of seeing that, people still need resources, and us going from printing manual to printing auto, it seems like we've had a huge influx of people that are really interested in that transition process.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people also don't realize that it's just him and I. Like, we have no staff, we have no employees, we don't have help when it comes to like the production, pre-post and everything. Like, it's just us two. So it's really hard for us to take the time to go places or do anything other than virtual things.
Okay. So like, is that something that you're doing now, like virtual consultants, or you're literally just testing the waters, whether it's a possibility? Or
we're testing the waters, because I mean, we've been really fortunate with organic growth on Instagram, and we've kind of been trying to get the YouTube thing kicked off, because we do a ton of like video work. So that's kind of helped us with the social media stuff. But I just feel like with my background in manufacturing stuff and being able to teach and train, I've always kind of been that guy. I felt like, hey, I do a pretty good job explaining things to people. So I figured it'd be a cool avenue to go into. So it's, I guess you would just call it like an overarching of just teaching. But what I notice is a lot of people do focus on like, this is how you print, this is how you make a screen, which is great. You need to know that. But I feel like the whole business marketing and just like kind of how to conduct yourself as a person when you're a business, like, I don't feel like it's really gone too much in depth. Everybody knows, launch emails and talk to people and go to events, but I still feel the information is very, very broad when people bring it up.
Yeah. And then you've done an event with, I want to say Annettte. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we did a open house for Annettte.
Yeah. What kind of led to that? And was it well received? And like, how are you finding collaborating and talking to other shop owners?
How did we get with Annettte? Oh wait, I know. We actually
have a vault.
Oh, I remember. Okay. So Paul, he is an Annettte sales rep for California, I believe. California? Yeah. He just walked into our shop one day and started talking to us about Annettte. We're like, what's that? And then he started explaining what Annettte, like, screen printing presses, automatics, and during that time, we were actually already almost about to get a different manufacturer's auto. Like, that was already in the works.
Just for gossip?
Yeah.
Whose press are you going to get?
We were actually looking at a Rock U at the time, but we had our biggest issue, and why we hadn't pulled a trigger on it yet was in the spot that we were in. Literally, if like we talked too loud, our neighbor would be like, hey man, that's a really cool conversation you're having over there. So I knew having a compressor and all of that, because we were only in 1,400 square feet. And so with the dual presses that we already had and the big conveyor dryer and the screen room that we had. On top of that, we do the vehicle graphics. So like my rolling printer, the laminator, the cutting table, it was just like we were at capacity.
Yeah, we were crammed.
Yeah.
And so when he showed up and told us that they were electrical, we were like, what? No way. And then the conversation just took off from there, and we started talking about it. And even more so, we were even drawn even more into it when they said that we could actually custom paint the press whatever color we wanted. And I was like, oh, I'm so down. And then we went to see a shop, another shop around our area that had one. So we got to actually see one in person working and talk to the shop owner, and, you know, before we even pulled the trigger on it. So that was nice. Paul was very, very hands-on and very helpful. And he made a transition to the whole auto very easy for us.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul.
Yep.
Yeah. I've had that a couple of times with the volts and the electric, and that seems like a really silly thing. Like, oh, you can spray it any color. That's massive for us now. It wouldn't have been important.
It's like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
wouldn't have been important 15 years ago, but we're all trying to brand our businesses like, well, we're building brands around our own specific shops, which again isn't something that screen printers bothered to do.
And it's hard, you know, with us, everything's, you know, black and dark blue, and then all of a sudden like, oh, we're gonna put this bright red press in your I was like, I don't know. But the second he said that, and it's cheap, it is not as expensive as people think. I was like blown away. I was like, that's it. And so that was, at that point, I was like, full electric, custom colors. I was like, let's go. And it's funny because people still think when we got it, everybody's like, oh, you bought a Workhorse or an M&R. And I'm like, no, it's an Annettte. And they're like, oh, they changed their colors. And I'm like, no, you can get whatever color you want. And they're like, wait, when did they do that? And I'm like, yeah, they've been doing it.
Yeah. I wish I'd have thought about that, even with just my manual, just spraying it up, putting some LEDs underneath it, but it's all like hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool about our Riley 300 manual, because it already came all blacked out, because we had an older Riley that had the blue bases, and it was like blue and white. It just kind of looked awkward in the shop.
Yeah. Can you tell me more specifically about like how you got into screen printing, and if you kind of got taken on the wrong path at any stage, and like how you're focusing on your customer base?
Oh yeah. So she's going to cringe because she's heard this story like 9 million times, because I got to explain it to everybody. It's pretty funny how I got into screen printing. So I want to say 14 years ago now, my brother-in-law just randomly called me one day. We were always doing random stuff, and he called me and he's like, hey, I got this meeting. He's like, I'm going to come pick you up. No idea what he was talking about. I was like, okay, fine. Just come pick me up. So he picked me up. And as we're driving down the street, he's explaining to me what's going on. And he basically says, look, he's like, we're going to go to the fairgrounds right now, and we're going to pitch them an idea to screen print all the shirts for them for this year's event. And I was like, what do you mean? Like make t-shirts and stuff? And he's like, yeah, I knew nothing about screen printing. And I'm like, do you even own any equipment? And he's like, no, but I've been doing all the research and this and that. And, you know, him and I have always been very good salesman type, you know, like fake it till you make it type people. Like we're really good at just kind of figuring things out. So we end up going to this meeting, sitting down with them and walking away with an order for 500 t-shirts, you know, explaining like, oh, we're great in this and our quality is perfect. And it blew me away that like they didn't ask for pictures or anything. We didn't have a website, but he had obviously done his research, and he knew what he was going to get us into. So we walked away with a 50% deposit for that, which is a pretty good amount of money for 500 shirts. And we drove straight to LA after that meeting. And that's when Annettte was selling those, the silver press packages. So we bought one of those like starter silver press. It was a 6-color, 2-station, and just like, I think it was a 1414 flash. So no conveyor dryer, none of that. It still was just an open exposure unit. You know, you had to put all the weights and stuff on it. So we went, used the money, bought all the equipment, and then basically went back to his house, and he had kind of set his garage up because he knew the equipment that he was getting. And it was, you know, we crack open the old, you know, Ryan Moore DVDs and stuff. And it's okay, so like, we're going to degrease screens. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like we degrease the screens, And then as that's drying, we'd watch like the next lesson, like this is how you coat, and then we'd, ruin 5-10 screens trying to figure the emulsion out and getting impatient, not letting it dry. But eventually, like, we got it figured out.
Does he like, if he did it again nowadays, would he have like, and now take an ice bar, do 20 push-ups? Like, have you seen all that? It's like, if you actually follow Ryan now, it's nothing to do with screen printing. It's just him taking ice baths.
Yeah. Yeah, we just saw him at the show recently in Long Beach. But yeah, so we ended up now mind you, it wasn't just 500 shirts, like 500 one color text. It was a 4-color job. So that was interesting. Like with there was no registration, there was no joystick, there was nothing. So it was like you'd put the screen, I'd be holding it down and he would go and tighten it, and then we try to print. It was a nightmare, no idea what we're doing. And then the one thing that I cringe at is we were curing the shirts on the platens, which isn't a big deal, but I know now that it works a lot better and your platens don't heat up if you actually take the shirt, unstick it, and then lay it over the top and cure it. We weren't doing that. We were just straight, like, would print it, still stuck. We just sit there and cure it. So all day we're printing, and the platens are like 9 million degrees.
And it's only 2 platens, right?
Yeah, it was
only 500 shirts.
Only 2 platens, which was nice, because I know some people got the single stations, but even just having that double where you can kind of flip it around, it made the world a difference. So that's pretty much how I got into screen printing. So first job, paid for the equipment. We had a little bit of money left over at the end. They were happy with the shirts, and I was like, I want to do this forever. This is awesome.
Yeah. And then when I came into the picture, it was when him and I reconnected 4 years after high school, because we knew each other since high school, and we reconnected and we started hanging out. And then I was around when he was doing, the startup with the screen printing. And I was just like, what is screen printing? The next thing you know, slowly but surely, I started becoming like the graphic designer for these jobs.
What did you do before
I was actually at the moment, I was going to school, to college. I was going to become an animator. That was what I wanted to become. Yeah, I was like, I want to work for Pixar one day. And that was the plan, but that didn't happen. And here I am now.
Yeah, so you're good on the computer. You've kind of got like a base level graphic design and
right. So I was able to already learn all of these programs, Illustrator, Adobe, and then all those crazy ones like Maya, Blender, that are required for animation. So it's pretty cool though, because even though I didn't become an animator, a lot of the things that I did learn translated very well into graphic design. So I came in with a lot of value.
Yeah. Do you do all your own artworking, or is that something that you think is more valuable to give to someone else outside at the moment? Or
honestly, we've had such bad experiences with outsourcing a lot of stuff, and even trying to bring people in and hire, that almost everything we do now is in-house. That's kind of where a lot of our roll-in printer and all that stuff came from. I was tired of the quality from people, so we brought it all in-house. We do use Separation Studio. I've been using that program for almost a decade now. So we love it. I know people kind of have their opinions of separation programs.
I'm all aboard Separation Studio. It can do like, it's not like I used to send it out, but I used to sit there for half an hour, like faffing with stuff. And then you just put it through and you're like, what have I been doing?
Yes.
It's a light bulb moment when you're actually finally get it. But then you're always in this kind of like conundrum of, is it going to pay for itself? Am I going to use it to capacity where I get the most return on investment? And I think that's the seesaw that people going from manual and not getting very much help and not buying the expensive software are always in.
And the thing on that too, though, like to help a lot of the new people, and we mention it a lot in the Discords, where I know with COVID, Separation Studio is kind of weird because they like weren't supporting the software and they didn't have the staff, whatever was going on, but they're good now. But we always tell people you can get like a 1-week trial. And I'm like, if you're still only doing 1 color, 2 color spot process, you want to get into simulated, I'm like, just go to Separation Studio, download it, try it for a week. It might take you 1 or 2 times to kind of get the settings on everything right, but it's a phenomenal software.
I think it's longer than a week now, actually.
It might be. It might be a 14-day trial now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because
how often are you actually getting asked for simulated process stuff when you're starting out and you're not known for that? So just wait until it comes along, buy the software. You're pretty much going to teach yourself in that time period.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, I feel like that's one thing that helped us because her artwork was just insane, you know, and people, it's that whole kind of like sometimes customers, you know, that whole like, oh, customers always right. I'm like, well, there's a lot of times people have no idea what they want.
Yeah.
And they'll come to you. Some friend made some terrible like script text stuff and it's one color and this is my logo for my barbecue business. And I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but like we could do something way cooler. And that's where we kind of forced ourselves into simulated process. And that's what really helped us stand out. Cause I'm like, you know, every company out here can do one color, two color, you know, landscaping shirt and green text on the back. And I was like, well, you know, if we're doing these full blown either CMYK or the simulated process stuff, I was like, nobody's going to beat us out here on that. And that's kind of been our main stuff now.
That's definitely helped us stand out with our local competition. A lot of them actually, I've had customers show up and be like, hey, can you screen print this? And I'm like, oh, heck yeah. And they're like, I've been turned away from every screen printing shop out here. I'm like, oh, give it to me. Like simulated process. I love that.
Yeah. Because it does just click in once you understand. And then a lot of people don't understand the difference between CMYK printing and simulate process. Yeah. Do you want to, did you start with CMYK and then move to sim process or?
I don't think so. No, honestly, there's not a ton of CMYK we do just because most everybody wants black dark colored shirts. But, you know, we have done, of course, like the funeral shirts and stuff where people want the full color or just there's a few bands that have got white shirts. So
the funeral shirts, I've never heard of. What is that? Is that an American thing?
When people pass away and the families want like the person's photo on the shirts.
Yeah, I guess not funeral shirts, like memorial shirts is a better term to put it.
We don't tend to put each other on shirts when we pass away. But
yeah, they'll just have, you know, like whichever friend, grandma passed away, and we'll just say like, you know, in memory of, and have the date. And we've had to do that a few times.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to mess up that job, do you? Like your grand looking a bit jaundiced or something.
And we don't advertise it, but we do. Like that's one thing. Not that we do it, but we usually hook people up on that. Yeah. Like if people want the, you know, when they get like the big picture printed out and they put on the pedestal, like I usually don't charge for those. I'll usually just somebody comes in that, you know, everybody's already upset enough. I'm like, here, just take it. And that, you know, that kind of goes into another subject of just like having, you know, like how to separate yourself, you know, and it's like, yeah, somebody could come in here, ask me for this print. And it's like, I could charge them the $20-$30 for it. But I know if I hook them up with that in this time, you know, where they're feeling that type of way, you know, when they actually need an order, like they're going to remember that, you know. And to me, I always look at it as like marketing money. Like, you know, is this $20 worth making a lifetime customer out of this person?
Yeah, but talking about like the products and things, the product range that you've got and your Epson and stuff, or your Roland, sorry, you've got like a huge range compared to a lot of screen print shops. And ones that I've spoken to, they either say, yeah, I had all the digital stuff and then it just got overwhelming and I stuck to screen print. But like, how are you not finding it overwhelming, or are you?
I'm overwhelmed every day.
Okay.
It doesn't go away.
Yeah. Okay.
But actually, that's a good question because I started kind of cleaning out a little bit of the things that I'm like, okay, these are not priority. These are not top sellers. People don't care about this. So I started deleting a lot of stuff from the website. Other than that, I decided to kind of stick to a lot of things we do in-house instead of like outsource.
I was going to ask about that.
But at the same what's that?
I was going to ask about that because that's really interesting. Yeah. So keeping in-house.
But other than that, honestly, I tend to let people know right from the beginning, like it's going to be this much. And if you need a graphic design, like specifically to you, because some people, you know, want business cards and they want like a unique design, which is fine. I can do that, but it's going to be this much additional. So it helps me like keep people who are actually serious about it. And they stay and they input the order. And then like, it might deter some people like, oh, that's just too much. I can go to Vistaprint and get 1,000 cards for $2. And I'm like, okay, Like that's okay, you know? And so it helps filter out those non-serious customers, but then the ones that, you know, go through with it, I just make sure that they are 100% satisfied at the end of it. And a lot of those items that we do offer, to be honest, a lot of people don't know what screen printing means. They don't know, you know, it's t-shirts, obviously. So it's kind of like tickets, or I like to say like things that bring people into the shop.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So they might come in and be like, oh, I just want business cards. But then like, oh, what is that? What are you guys doing over there? And then they know we do shirts.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of them are like, oh, well, I get my shirts over there, but like, I'd rather just do it with you guys. So it helps with that as well.
I see. That's really clever. Yeah. I do understand that as a marketing concept and stuff. So yeah. Sorry, can I ask about your like Instagram and how you're like attracting those kind of customers? Are you trying to attract those local customers with your Instagram, or is it other printers? Or
it's changed. It has changed a lot recently. Because before it was strictly clientele. That's what I was trying to do. That's who we would hit up. We try to post our stuff. We try to make cool videos with the stuff that we were printing. But then also, you know, it's like you got to keep feeding that algorithm, and you have to make, you know, and everybody that talks about the algorithm, it's kind of funny because even Mr. Beast said this. He's like, just make content that people want to watch. And one little tip that I can give everybody that's trying to build their Instagram, I don't know how many new screen printers I see. And if you go to their feed, all it is either a picture of a shirt they printed, or like they squeegee one time. It's like, look at what I printed. And like, I hate to say it, like, that's not enough. Like people want to see you, they want to see your face. They want to see you, you know, messing stuff up. Like today we popped a screen today.
Yeah, I saw that
for the first time. I lost my train of
thought.
But
it's more like people, I noticed that our Instagram, for instance, became so much better and just blew up once I got in front of the camera. And I was like, I got over my shyness. Not really, because I'm still shy, but I just know how to fake it. Or, you know, the more I do it, I just
just for 2 minutes a day, just fake
it.
Right.
Like, just like get over it. Like nobody cares that much, you know? So I noticed that I got on camera and I started talking. I started showing, like, they saw my personality. Yeah. And then a lot of people say that I'm like so funny and they laugh a lot. So it's just, and then I have people coming into the shop be like, hey, Gio. And like, I've never met him before.
That's creepy. That's funny.
Yeah, but because they've seen me on Instagram so much already and they know my personality, they already know that I'm going to be that person to them. So it creates a connection besides just, here's a picture of a shirt, here's some stickers, here's this. It's like, hey guys, today, look at what I messed up. Oh, this sucks. You know, showing the good, of course, but the bad is what really stands out. Like you have to not be embarrassed.
Yeah. And that's to answer your question more. Like I said, it was businesses, like just business people. And then it did start transitioning and blowing up more into like screen printing. Because what we noticed is, because it was that conflicting thing where I was like, man, like if I show like BTS of us messing up a shirt, I was like, is my clientele not going to think I'm professional? And like, we always kind of worried about that. And it worked in the total opposite way, because like it makes you human. And like people, you know, companies, like that's some of our best clients came from literally that. Like we did something, we messed it up, we owned up to it, you know, and I think that's a little, like I said, how it's transitioned is just being just real about everything going on. And definitely transitioning into more like screen printing followers has helped a lot, because it's helped us be able to help a lot of other screen printing businesses, and not just, you know, like the local businesses out here, but people who kind of have common goals as us. Yeah. So
I think what you've stumbled on like naturally and found success with is that you're just talking to people like they're normal people. Because if you own a business, doesn't mean like you don't have a sense of humor. You don't want to know how things are made. Yeah.
I'm like, laugh a little.
But there's insane videos that I love to watch on like TikTok and Instagram, and they sound incredibly dull professions. But I'll watch like someone clean a drain, or I'll be like, oh, I didn't know they did that, and then they just blast the drain, and it's like, what? So something really inane that you think is very dull, other people genuinely care about and want to see, especially power washing. There should be like a section on it. There should be a section called Power Wash Porn, and then we all
mowing
just
the lawns and stuff, and you're just like, wow, I'm fascinated right now.
Yeah, there's loads of creeps. I'm sure we've like accidentally tapped into some of them.
What was cool about it too is if we did like she did a video where like she was printing on sleeves, you know, and it worked in like two ways. One, like, you know, other people like, oh, where do you get those platens? Like, oh, how'd you do that? What, you know, where'd you get the squeegee? But then our customers, like I said, sometimes they don't even know what they want. So all of a sudden, bing, 4 orders come in and like, oh, I want this, but I want my logo and website down the sleeve now. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So
yeah,
it's been a good mix of both.
Yeah, I love that you've tapped into it and it's just working for you. So you're saying about YouTube, like, what's the kind of content? Is there a different? Do you know how like every platform has a different level of something that you can put on it? Like TikTok, you can go crazy and do whatever the hell you want. Yeah. Instagram's kind of like a little bit reserved. And then, do you find YouTube's more educational? Like, how are you? Definitely,
yeah. And that's kind of the route we're trying to push with that, is like the like motivational stuff, educational, you know, and like tutorials. Cause I notice like any piece of equipment, this isn't picking on anybody specifically, you know, whether it's my roll-in printer or embroidery or, you know, new machine we got. I'm pretty sure you've had it in trainings where, you know, at the end of the training, they make you sign that sheet. Like, we taught you this, we taught you this, we taught you this, and you have to sign. And it's like, you sign saying, oh yeah, I get it. And they walk out the door and you're like, wait, how do I do that? And so, that's kind of what the YouTube stuff is. We want to push more of not only the tutorials of like how to use your machine or how to print, but it's like, okay, you used to print a 4-color job on a manual this way, but this is how you do it on a manual, or like with these cool settings that it has on an auto, excuse me. But, you know, there's just different ways to do the same thing, you know. And what's cool is like with that open house, you know, that we loved that event just because, you know, we had an octopus print shop, Manuel. He was awesome. And it's, you know, like, he'd be helping us set something up. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's, you'd watch him and you're like, I never thought of that. Or like, I would do something and he would be like, wait a minute, why aren't you doing it this way? And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so just kind of trying to get all that knowledge and put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. But it has opened up massively in the last few years with like, as you say, like Discord groups and stuff. It's constant. Every time I go on Discord, it's like 50 new comments. And so what groups are you on? Are you on your own group or?
So we were on that original Discord with the Loyal to the Press when she was still running that. And then Everything is Mediocre kind of moved over in his own Discord. And so that's kind of the main one where we're at right now. And then Rogue Printers on Facebook. You know, that's a huge group.
Yeah, that's a Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah, the Annettte Owners and Equipment on Facebook. That's another big one we're in. And that one's cool because it's more Annettte specific. So you can be like, oh, my sensor's not reading. And they're like, dude, when's the last time you cleaned the lint off your machine? You're like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. No, it's so different. Like, as you said, like we used to have to just watch a very precise viewpoint. And now it's like, no, everyone's got their own tact and like literally like shop hacks and things. Have you got shop hacks? And I'll ask you that. Yeah. Have you found it? Have you figured anything else out?
The biggest thing that we've been doing, because when I started screen printing like 12 years ago, are you familiar with Willow Springs Raceway?
No, sorry.
Okay, so Willow Springs Raceway is like a huge racetrack that's out here. So we live very, very close to Willow Springs Raceway. So when we were screen printing, I also got into the vinyl graphics. And so we were doing all the car numbers and all that stuff. And, you know, there's application tape when you're doing the vinyl. And I remember we got a roll of this clear stuff. And I was confused. I asked my brother, I'm like, what's this versus the normal tan stuff we get? And he's like, oh, so it's like you can see when you double layer stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then one day we were doing simulated process. And I was like, wait a minute. Cause like we just kept wasting shirts trying to get it aligned. And I was like, well, what if I could put something down and then like wipe it off, but see through it? And that's when I was like, dude, I have this whole roll of clear application tape. And that was the biggest game changer for us. And even still to this day, when we register a job, we put one shirt down, we do the base, and then we put the clear on it, and then basically align everything. And, you know, you could do it 12 times and just wipe it off, reprint on it, bump it. It doesn't work, wipe it off again. And so that's probably the biggest shop hack that we've been using for, 8-10 years now.
Yeah, I have seen that with other printers and stuff. But the funny thing is about that kind of tape is that if you buy it from a screen print supplier, that could be $20 or something. But actually, if you find it from like the sign place, they sell it en masse so much that it's like pretty, it's half the price because it's used like, and it's not really branded like that. It's like anything to do with like if you put wedding in front of anything, it goes up by 3 or 4 times, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I do think that it's really interesting looking at other people's industries and seeing if you can use any of their skills and tactics and techniques and then bring them back into screen print. That's why I'm always interested, like, what did people do before they became screen printers? Because they often
the other thing too, and I think we kind of made a video of it, was with that clear tape. We put that on everything. If we have like, we're constantly putting ink on the surface up here, like we'll just put a piece over it. Because it makes it easy to wipe off no matter what the surface is. And when it finally just gets really bad, you just throw it away, put a new clear piece down. So our mixing table is covered with the clear masking tape.
Yeah, that's another hindsight one though, isn't it? It's like, okay, I'll do that when I sort my little mixing bench out. I think that's a better one. I like that more than the registration one. But another one of the questions that I'm asking people, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like poking at a little hornet's nest. Is the like, have you got any unpopular opinions in the screen print industry?
I got one that I feel is very controversial. She didn't even want me to say it.
Do yours as well.
So
afterwards,
my controversial, unpopular screen printing business, because I hear a lot, is this is kind of more for manual printing, but the registration on your press doesn't suck. You just suck at printing. And it's kind of harsh, but what I've found out, because I've done all the mistakes, and I feel like there's a lot of talk about bad registration on machines, and it's most of the time it's manuals. And there's so many factors, because when you start asking people, like, when was the last time you checked the tension on your screens? Oh, I've never done that. We don't even have a meter. Okay.
Yeah.
When was the last time you serviced like your registration gates and stuff? You made sure everything's tight. There's not slop and play. I've never done that. Okay. And also, as well as I do, if you print and put a lot of pressure and go just a little to the left, and then next time you print flash prints, you go a little to the right, you're not going to be lined up. So it's, you have to be very consistent, especially with the simulated. I feel like that's where we've kind of grown a lot with the manual stuff, because we realize like you have to be on it. So
I
don't know, I guess that would be my unpopular opinion.
I like that one. It could be like shortened. It's not the press, it's you or something.
Pretty much.
Gia, what's yours?
I think I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with one right now. I think I just don't like how people tend to jump on the hype as to, for example, what ink right now is so hot. Oh, this is the best ink ever, but it's not, or for example, like I feel like I've been using the same inks for a long time since I first started. So I learned how these inks work because I've been using them for so long. Yet there are people who jump from ink to ink to ink to ink to ink to brand. And so then they wonder why, they just cannot find the perfect ink. It's like, you're not giving enough time to a specific brand and a specific, line of inks to be able to hack them, to get acquainted with them. I feel like there's a lot of, ass kissing when it comes to ink manufacturers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've gotten a lot of like heat sometimes when they find out that, I print with international coatings. Oh, they're so boring. What?
I print with international coatings.
Yeah.
They're consistent though.
What have you printed today? Have you got anything that you printed today? Or you ripped your screen so you haven't got anything?
Yeah. I printed with the international coatings, poly white, just standard on polos, the polyester one. And the one that I'm currently using, a lot of people hate it because it's so thick and it's so hard, but it's kind of like I said, you're not sticking enough with the ink to get acquainted with it, to become friends.
Yeah, you probably just need to up your mesh. But can I say we did hoodies and
that's
t-shirts.
awesome.
It's like we don't print for many people, but we print for this like one girl in Qatar, which is so random. But I love the international coatings. That's the thing. They think that Plastisol is thick and you're printing it twice probably. And then if it's shiny, it's again, you're printing 2 layers and that's why it's shiny.
Yep.
And then
the big thing on that note too is like, you know, because obviously we had the open house, and I loved having Keith from International Coatings, awesome dude. And his knowledge of ink and printing is phenomenal.
Insane.
And that kind of brings me more to like her point where, like, you know, somebody will get an ink, they'll just do something and be like, this is trash, and try to go find another ink. And I was like, how many times have you actually contacted the manufacturers, looked at spec sheets, you know, talked to other people, or somebody might be like, hey, put 2 drops of this thing in there, mix it up, or like your durometer or squeegee is not hard. And I feel like beginners, that's the biggest problem, is everybody's too just anxious to like print a shirt and make money, and not like better your skills and actually learn how to use the equipment that you have.
Yeah. There is this trend that I keep asking people about, and then no one quite understands what I'm talking about. But if you use YouTube as something to learn from, you often get marketed towards screen printing and printing shirts is like this side hustle that makes you $500 in a month and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then that's probably the people that have accidentally gone, oh, okay, I need to quickly make it. I'm not going to do it as a craft. And they're just completely blindsided by, all the crap that you get in the Facebook groups from other novices.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, it's never going to be the ink. I haven't got an ink here that is a bad ink. I've got like 10 different brands over there, but it's just because you just accumulate stuff. But anyway,
we have probably 4 brands on the shelves, but the one we always come back to is International Coatings.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's 12 years we've been using it, and it's just the consistency.
Yeah. Like butter.
Anyway, so back to what you're saying though, I do agree with kind of like, I call it the noise, you know, there's so much out there, and, you know, not knocking anybody's, you know, YouTube journey, but there's some people who it's like, they've been doing it for like 2 months and they're like, all right, I'm going to teach everybody how to like get into this. And, you know, sometimes the information's like, it's not necessarily that it's wrong, but it's kind of taken out of context from a bigger point. And so I don't know. That's why I say the actual manufacturers of inks, presses, all that, they're going to know better than anybody else how to use their product.
Yeah. But also all the ink's been around for such a long time that all the ink manufacturers have been making this ink for decades. They've seen what works on other brands and they brought it into their own. So in the end, all the machines, most of the inks, they're all bloody the same stuff, just repackaged with slight tweaks for slightly different customers. That's like one plus one, another plus one. I could get both and make a nice shirt out of it, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's mainly down to the garments. So like garment choice, that is something that I'm actually quite precious about. Like say if you're doing a shop shirt for like Up All Night, what do you pick as your favorite garment choice?
AS color.
Yeah.
For sure. I love the comfort colors as well.
Yeah. Comfort colors and AS color are some of the like nicest, softest shirts that we've printed on. I think
I like to push my clients to go for like at least a bell and canvas.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
So like, what is the thing that stops them? Is it price? Like, do you get people to come in and feel stuff, or do you have a little?
Yeah, they come in, they feel stuff, but sometimes they don't want to spend that much, you know, additional $2 or something per shirt. They don't want to spend it. Some of them have like small budgets.
Yeah.
And then we also live in a.
Sorry, they have extra sauce on their steak, but they won't spend $2 on a shirt.
Right. Exactly. Or, you know, I think it also has to do with like where we are located, for instance. In the city that we are located in, there's not a lot of money spenders here. So I try my best. A lot of them do take my my advice and they go for it, and then they're happy that they did. But I understand, you know, not every single time they can't spend a lot more like on a recycled bottle t-shirt, which are you know, they want eco-friendly, but they don't want to pay for it.
The big thing too with that is, you know, I'm sure a lot of companies do that where people can feel the shirt, but there's times, especially on bigger orders, if somebody's going to put in 100, 200 shirts, we'll get them 3 shirts. Like, what size are you? We'll order them and we'll say, take them, wash them, wear them.
Yeah. And
then they'll be like, man, I was going to go cheap and buy these, but like, I hate them. And he's like, these are way more expensive out of budget. He's like, I'll pay the money because I'd wear that every day. And especially the people with brands, that's where it drives me insane. They're just like, what's the cheapest thing? And I'm like, well, nobody's going to wear your shirts if you make it out of the cheapest stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But also there's another thing there where it's like a lot of people think that the thicker the shirt, the higher quality it is. And that is that's also bullshit. Yeah. I just want to put that out there. That would be that's mine. Maybe I could come up with one. I could come up with one every single episode. Thick shirts aren't good shirts necessarily. That really winds me up. Anyway, sorry. This isn't
what's your go-to t-shirt?
It's gonna be something like I don't know if you know about it, but it's like Stanley Stella. I go on about it a lot. It's just like this super eco brand, but they're also like really fashion based. They're quite cool. And then you get like rockers, which are really heavy, and there's like oversized one with really big drop shoulders, and there's lots of nice shirts like that. But like, yeah, I was just gonna like ask, how do you manage to guide people, and like how much are they taking your advice, like doing those choices?
Surprisingly, about like 90% of the time, people like will be like, you guys are the professionals, like this is your business, and like we'll just give them the warnings, like, hey, you're gonna do this, and we have a ton of printed samples of stuff. So, I could be like, you don't know what fibrillation is, but like these shirts, they're kind of known for that. The prints might be a little, different, where, we have one where it's the same print on this shirt and this shirt and this shirt. And like
really?
Yeah.
That's really clever. Yeah.
So, cause you can explain things to people, but like, they don't get, you can be like, it's better. And they're like, okay. In their head, they're like, it's better. But if I'm like, look at this. And they're like, oh dude, I'd pay for that one. And so to us, that's really helped kind of guide it. And we realized too, a lot of the people that kind of want to finagle, they're either not serious about getting a job in the first place done, or they really are just cheap. And we're just like, okay, if this is what you want, we'll print it for you. Or we've literally turned down jobs. We'll say, hey, if that's the route you want to go, like maybe find a different printer.
Yeah, no, I think that's really powerful, being able to like actually be in a position where you can turn down specific jobs, because it just frees you up from the bullshit, doesn't it? Yeah. But you can probably you can smell it now, or you can just 3 or 4 phrases in an email and you're like, oh, this is like red flags all over it.
Well, what's funny is we started we were scared about doing it, I'm not gonna lie, but we started doing like the appointment only, because it's just us. And I was like, man, we're gonna lose business and this and that. And the weirdest thing is like, all we lost was the people that waste our time. Because if somebody's willing to call us, email us, and set an appointment up, they're serious about putting an order in. If they can't even make the step to do that, like, it's okay. Now, we still technically do walk-ins. Like, if somebody shows up at our shop, like, we're not going to turn them away, but we'll usually like, hey, like, let's book you an appointment for this day. Or if it's something quick, we'll just help them. But
because a lot of times I'm printing and it's, you have the auto running, everything's nice and hot and warm, you're in the groove, and then somebody comes in and it's like, record scratch.
Yeah.
What do you want? Just kidding. No. But I'm like, I can't help you right now. I'm sorry. Would you like to set an appointment, or would you like to come back in 2 hours or something like that? Like, I gotta, I'm currently have my hands full. A lot of those who are serious, they understand. Maybe someone will get a little bit upset, but then, they come back and they're like, okay, I can see you take your job seriously because, you're organized. I'm like, yeah, I have to be.
Yeah. Well, there's also like these weird phrases that you get when people have had bad experiences at other studios, and they say to you like, is this going to wash off? And my insides are like, no. And I like want to shout something, but actually I'm like, yeah, you go, oh no, I'm a good printer. This is like all my brand and all this kind of stuff. But you kind of feel like using their profession against them. Like if they're a roofer or something, say like, oh, is that roof gonna like fall in and crush me when I'm asleep? Or if they're a chef, am I gonna be up all night having food poisoning from this? It's just like anyway, getting rid of customers being able to walk into your studio is how many years did that take you to figure out? Like, I mean, I know they can physically, but like how you're like pushing them away slightly, aren't you? With the 9
years, probably
9 years. Yeah.
I mean, so we just about, what was it, 2 years now?
Yeah.
So 2 years now, it's been that we went from garage printers to like an actual brick and mortar. So it wasn't until we got this new spot in September
last year
that I was finally like, all right, I'm done with this random stuff. And she got robbed at the last place.
I did.
So that was when I was like, all right, like, let's not be so open anymore.
Wow. That's crazy. Sorry that happened to you. The only place they can rob us is like we're in a builder's yard, so like they can take all the scrap metal outside, but that's about it. If they come in here, what are they gonna? I always think like if they can nick my press and my inks, then they're welcome to it. Because
I think about it like, you're gonna walk away with my auto, like good luck. Get my dryer out of here. Like I had to have 4 guys help me move that. Like
that's really awful. But at least you got like a bit more security and stuff, and you just feel more, I don't know, safe. And
there's we share. Even though it's just us, I have a really good friend of mine that actually shares my office with me. So he's got his little business that he does, like the digital marketing stuff. So shout out Lucid Listings. But he's here and his partner's here a lot. So there's more kind of like commotion going on in the shop. Whereas before, like if I went out on an install or a different job, like she was just at the shop by herself. And there's actually a good kind of to put a warning out there is like these creep people out there will watch your stories on Instagram. So if you're like, oh, I'm live, hey, I'm here alone, this and that, like somebody out there is preying on you. So you got to be careful with that. So we learned that the hard way.
Yeah. I don't really do lives, but I have seen it where other studios pre-record saying this is happening now, and then they do it later. But I didn't think of it from a safety point, but I think that is a good little warning for people.
Yeah. And I'm also scared I get people like, oh, let's do a shop tour video. And I'm just scared. I'm like, no, you're going to see everything that I have and where it's at. And now you're going to have a blueprint as to where you want to come in from and what you want to steal.
We literally shot one YouTube video of that and like up on a shop tour, new building. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready to release this. He's got like tons of like cameras. No, I don't. She's lying. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. I don't have anything worth any value.
That's why everyone has shop dogs, right? Like just a little bit.
I have shop bullets now. That's what I have.
Oh gosh. I'm so glad we don't have that in the UK, because it's just like like I can't think of anyone in my life that I could trust with a gun. Like I've got some crazy uncles. Actually, he does have a gun, but that's a shotgun. And farmers are allowed shotguns, and they're pretty much the only ones, because what are they going to hit? But
we definitely learned our lesson. We're ready for it all.
Yeah. Okay.
It's ruthless out here in Los Angeles County.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I live in Newbury. Do you know, like, I saw this thing the other day. It was like your local news. Like, do you have like a local newspaper, and then whatever the headline is shows like how nice your area is? So it's like the most pathetic headline that we get is like, potholes in the area are getting crazy. Like, we've got a 1 meter pothole, and you guys are like really dramatic
getting shanked.
So I'm just
like,
very
only
grateful.
One person got ran over today, man. It was an okay day. Like,
I'm gonna wake up grateful that I live in a really boring place. I'm fine with that. So like, now you've got your auto and everything like that. Are you got your eyes on anything else, or are you just kind of getting to terms with this, or like
CTS machine?
CTS. We've been really looking at that. I have my eye on one that I'm in love with. I just hate that they're all $50,000.
Yeah,
I feel like it's that cool new technology, and in like 2 years from now, I feel like they're gonna like half price, and then I'm like, all right, let's go for it. I'm like, I don't do enough screens to justify that right now.
Yeah. Do you have to get an automatic coater to get one of those?
No.
You don't. No. But it just makes it better.
Like any machine you buy, it will make it better. But no, you do not have to. Because I was really adamant about that. I was like, man, if I buy, because it's like the auto, you buy that, and now every time you need platens, it's $4,000. So I was like, man, if I get this CTS, like, I don't have to do all this now, but what else am I going to have to buy? But the ones I've been talking to, and because we use a graphic screen fashion, shout out to Frank for all our screens. So his stuff's really, really nice, and the emulsion we use, everything, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought there was like this knock on, or you'll find that you need to buy the automatic coater or anything like that. But and then you're saying that technology's moving fast. I would give it another couple of years anyway, because it's like there seems to be so many variations of how you put the image on the screen, like printing wax, lasers.
Have you seen those ones where it just melts onto it?
Is that the wax? Oh, that's the laser. Yeah. God knows.
Yeah. So, well,
I don't even know what I'm looking at when I'm at the shows. I should probably ask a few more questions, but no, but at least you don't have to think about halftones and stuff as much if, that's something that trips people up.
You can get rid of your films, your film storage.
Who stores films? Do you store films? Are you a hoarder for your films?
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part. Like I don't want to print them again because I have a lot of customers who want the same thing over and over again. They come back often. But if I know for sure something I'm not going to use again, like an event shirt that has a date and everything, just toss them. But I have like my folders organized with like everybody's films in there. But it's
because we have, like schools, city organizations and stuff. So a lot of them are like, they're going to come back, or we have a few clients that are like pretty big where they have like very successful brands. And so they're like, every 2 months they're back for another 250 something shirts. So, and also we're running on the wildly old Epson Artisan 1430. So I had to do a panic run one day. It broke and I managed to find somebody on Craigslist to go get another one for like $800. And I was like, man, I remember when these were $299 and they're like $3,000 now.
Really? So they're so scarce. I've had my one 3 times, and it's because of like anyway. But they've tried to discontinue this one so many times, but it's just screen printers buying them. So maybe I should buy 2.
Right. We found a good place down in Hollywood because with all the studios and stuff out there, they do like repairs, electronic repairs for all the studios and stuff. So I was like, hey, do you do printers? Like, oh yeah, we do printers. So now we have 2 of them. So if one breaks, like that gets sent out because if they need sometimes it takes forever. I think it was $400 in like 3 weeks last time to get it done. So now we got 2, but now we get CTS. All of that goes away.
Yeah. I've actually fixed the Epson so many times that I should probably just do YouTube videos about that instead of screen printing.
Yeah.
Because I saw like a video how to fix this machine and I was like, thank you, Jesus. Someone has actually figured it out. He didn't. He pulled it out into his backyard and he beat the shit out of it with baseball bats.
Well, I mean, that's a fix.
It's like slightly amusing, but then you're always in like a horrendously like stressful situation when you need to watch that
normal that day.
Video.
You're like trying to print. I need work done right now, and this guy's smashing the printer.
And it just encourages you, and you're like, I haven't even got a baseball bat, but I'm gonna maybe I'll just have to do it with my hands. You know? I know. You'd probably just shoot it or something. Anyway,
have you ever done that? Have you ever gotten to that point where you broke something?
No, I haven't even. I was talking about that recently as well. I've never even hit anyone. I've never even thrown something across the room. I feel like
because I have punched through a screen a few times.
You've done it a few times.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it.
You got through the mesh with a punch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've jokingly stabbed a screen, but not through anger. I feel like I'm an angry person, but it doesn't come out. Like it's just like. I'll probably just explode one day and just punch someone in the face who doesn't deserve it. I don't know.
It's not even the screen printing anymore that drives me insane. It's the graphic stuff. The laminator starts losing its mind, or the printer just wants to do what it wants to do. So, or like my sticker cutter, it just, I don't know. But that stuff drives me insane.
That's why screen printing is so much better, because you're not like, an ink clog and you're sat there for 6 hours trying to unclog a bloody thing that's
true,
meant to fail.
That satisfaction, like when you do like your first 8 color job, and you're like, this is phenomenal, especially when it's good artwork. When somebody's like, I got this crazy idea, like it's awesome. Now with our print side of stuff, we do a ton of like windows on buildings. So like that's another really big thing. And to me, that like when you're done, like it's annoying and painting and this and cutting them, but like when we finally get it on, I'm like, wow, like we did that. So it's kind of like that same satisfaction of doing big screen printing jobs. I've done some vinyl installs, but I'm always the person behind, like
holding the ladder and passing out the scalpel. I'm not trusted to like get air bubbles out of a 12-foot install. But...
You've seen some of the videos of inside of our shop. That one, the owl we have on the wall, that's 8 feet by 16 feet.
Yeah, that's. Did it come in sections, or you just?
I cut it in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
So if you there's a video on there of me actually installing that, very unsafe on a 22-foot ladder. So.
Yeah, I have to watch that one. I did actually see this image and I thought, oh, what have they done there with the press? And it had all these lights. And I was like, was that some kind of like visual effect? And then I figured it out. I know you've got your light sticks and you run around with a slow exposure, but it's sick.
These right here are actually the LED tubes.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of those and they're color changing. But yeah, we just did that like light painting or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And I was like, here, let me do this real quick. And then I ran over there.
That is so going in my basket. And I'm going to try and justify that as a purchase for a screen printer soon.
So look, they're Nanlite Pavo tubes. I think these are the 60Cs. They're 4-foot tubes, 4 of them, and it's $1,000. I'll send you a link to them.
I think I could justify it. I've got something.
They're great
coming
because believe it or not, like we have some overhead. So like we use them as like key lights, fill lights. We use them just to put like, stuff in the background. Like they're phenomenal.
Yeah. But that's a slippery slope as well to all this tech and producing it like videos. Like should you spend a lot of time editing?
Because I'm like, I don't know if I have more money in screen printing equipment or camera gear.
Yeah. Well, stop saying that because you're going to get like proper robbed now. but like for editing videos and stuff, like how are you getting any time to do like editing a YouTube video or like how do you know?
We don't have time. Nobody has time. There's no time.
I know there isn't time, but like how are you prioritizing what
14 and a half hour days. That's how we make time for it.
Okay.
And Saturdays and Sundays and every day. I don't know.
So we do a lot of time blocking.
Yeah.
It's time blocking, honestly, and just prioritizing what needs to get done that day and making sure that that needs to get done so they don't roll over to the following day and you're able to get more done. So it's just a lot of time blocking, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like with the auto, when you print manual, it's like when a job comes in, you're like, I need to get on this because I need to get the next one behind it and that. But we're kind of at a point now where I'm like, we'll spend a whole day just making screens.
For example, for me, I learned that, especially with the auto, I love it so much. Like I'll take Monday and that's when I do my films and I do my screens. I make them, I burn them and I prep them. All the screens are done for the week, for all the jobs for the week. On Tuesday and Wednesday, it's like production of just screen printing. Tuesday, Wednesday. With the auto, I can probably get away with like 1 day production. That's it. So then we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's a lot of like content now. I can work on my own personal projects on the side, or I can start doing a lot of the graphic design work that I do for clients, all the other stuff like the banners, the stickers and everything like that. So it's a lot of just being organized. There's really, everybody has the same amount of time in a day. And I feel like once you hack the whole time blocking and scheduling out your week, like everything is possible pretty much.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that as well, but I don't work as longer days as you. It was like I was just getting worse and worse and worse, and like I had to commute like an hour and a half home every night, and I was not a happy person. I probably wasn't very like healthy in my head and everything, but you don't realize it when you're in it because you're so like stress is where you live. It's not like stress isn't something that happens
as stressful as it is.
Yeah. And I was living on that for years, but I've managed to work in times like you saying, like Mondays are this thing.
Yeah.
Friday afternoons, for example, we actually just like go to like the local gym that has like an office and we just work from there. And it's just like a change of scenery, but it's also like, if your stuff isn't done by Friday at 12 o'clock, it's rolling on to next week. And it's like, how do you feel about that? So then you become more efficient with less time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I know that sometimes, not every week is going to go as planned. There are going to be some jobs that are probably taking a little bit longer for whatever reason, and that's okay. But just knowing that you are on a specific, planned week, you're still gonna reach your objectives. And I like it too because like on Fridays, I want to say like 3 hours before we close is when I start cleaning the shop, and by the time we close, the shop is just beautiful. So when I come in on Monday, it's like nice and clean. Let's mess it up again, and then we do it again.
Yeah, I was going to talk about your shop being really clean, but it's probably coming from your what you just said, and then your manufacturing background, because you can't work in an unclean environment, right?
It just, I don't know how many times I've like been to people's shops and seen stuff. And it's like, how do you even touch the knobs on your machine without like getting ink all over you? Or like you put a shirt on, you pull it off and they're just lint all down the side of it. And I'm like, how do you work this way? So, and Paul, he's all up and down the coast in California. And even he came into our old shop and this shop, and he's like, this is one of the cleanest shops I've ever seen. So I think Lancaster Print House would give us a run for our money though.
I'll let you get on with your day, because you're very efficient and you probably got something. You need to get back to that screen that you messed up.
We time blocked you. You're a little bit over your time, just letting you know.
Am I 1 minute over or something? I don't know. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Have a nice day. I'm going to go eat my dinner.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.